gosh.
Oh my. Well, we have a good topic.
I think we do have a good topic. We're going to talk about friends and friendship as women. We'll skip talks of people landing in Australia and IRS write-offs for your stealing and drugs that we saw today. I was telling the girls that everything felt loud. So today we're going to have a fun talk about friends. And I think this is something that everybody can relate to. So if you're working or driving or whatever, you'll probably be able to relate. And it'll probably be a good break from
YouTubers going to prison and all
everything
the other
going on.
BS in the world.
This is why I stay off the news stuff. No idea what's happening.
You're smart.
Anything.
You are not missing anything. Yeah. So let's talk about friends. I just want to know, like, what do you think of when you think of friendship right now? Like, what do your friendships look like currently? Like,
good.
So specific. Ashley, thanks for that insightful
our
message.
podcast was 3 minutes today.
They're good. Okay.
They're good.
Moving on.
Why good? Why good?
Well, I mean, in my life, I think nothing really shows you how fortunate and blessed you are till you're going through hell and you see who's like your ride or dies.
Yeah. And
they're the ones who've been there through it all. And I just, every single day I've thought, I am so lucky. I've never felt alone a single day throughout the last years of going through hellish
life.
And in the thick of it with little kids. And that really shows you who your friends are too. Because so many people can be so lonely. And I don't know. I just feel really lucky.
Yeah.
Really, really lucky. And I'm not in the season where I can be the one that gives as much.
Yeah.
You know, but also reminding myself, like, take this time and reflect on it so that I can be there for other people when I do have more margin, you know,
in the capacity.
That reciprocal thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you guys?
Jolie?
Yeah, I mean, I think, especially since moving to Arizona, and I don't know if that's kind of made the difference with my kids being older. We weren't making what I call like situational friends. We weren't making friends because of sports. We weren't making friends because we all went to the same school or whatever.
Right.
We were, it was different. We were more choosing like-minded families, I guess. And so friendships that start with more of a solid common ground. And even though like our kids, we have kids different ages. Some of my closest friends were different ages. My closest friends are people that we just have that common foundation. I mean, for us, mostly it's Jesus. I mean, like currently in our smallest circle. And then, I mean, also golf, I guess, for my husband. But,
and us.
Yeah.
Jesus,
I know.
and golf.
For us too.
Both.
But yeah, I think, our closest family friends, it's that like-mindedness, I think, is probably which it hasn't always been. Like we've had those years where it's because I needed moms that had little kids, and so we could have that in common. Like you need someone who gets that stage of life that you're in, or my kids were heavily involved in soccer, so what I would call sideline friends.
Mhm.
Some of them developed into real friendships, but a lot of them, when we switched teams or whatever, then we made new friends.
Yeah.
But now we're in this stage of life where it's not because our kids were friends first and so it just works out we're doing play dates. Now it's because, yeah, we just are friends, couple friends, I guess.
Well, and you really do
lot
have
of
to
our
figure out
friendships.
who you want to do now. Who am I going to do life with? Because the kids will be gone. It's
Right. Yeah.
the funny thing to me is like you and I have kids that are gone, and then our youngest kids are literally what, two? Are they 2 days apart?
2 days apart. Yeah. The same
2 days
age.
apart.
Yeah.
That's
Well, we
crazy.
took them on a birthday trip one time to Disneyland, and I think they spoke like 10 words to each other. I actually think they're both very, very funny. They're very much the baby. They're very much no nonsense, and you go down the line, and they're very similar kids.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Like literally two of my favorite people
September babies, both of them.
is
September.
is our kids.
I got a couple of those.
It's so funny, but that's not
fun.
has nothing to. I mean, I would like to push that. Like I said, we tried. We took them to for their
Right.
birthday
And
and
I think they don't, they don't go to the same school and they live farther apart. They don't go to the same church, but that's the thing. We are friends, and even though our kids don't necessarily hang out, that it's not what it's about anymore. Really, it's about for us.
That's the Phoenix effect too. I think that you were talking about earlier. I guess the Phoenix effect could be any. I mean, we live in what is it, the 6th or 9th biggest metropolitan area in the United States, and so for me to go to Jolie when we went on up for Super Bowl, that's an hour. I mean, it takes me 49 minutes on a good day to get to, and I have no problem with it because I'm used to it.
Yeah.
I mean, you come down at least like a couple times, or once a week or whatever for this or that, and it's for us, it's neither here nor there. But it definitely has put me in a different phase of friendship where I'm definitely like, I've slowed way down, and mostly I'm at home. And I've definitely figured out in the friendship realm who I'm just content watching them live online. And I love them still. And I think that probably the internet has made it easier to figure out who your acquaintances are, for sure.
I think you can have a lot more than even before.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Like it's very low labor.
Super low labor, but and I feel bad because there are people that I dearly like. Oh my gosh, they're so funny. They're so nice. Like if I ran into them or they called or I called and wanted to hang out, it would probably be extremely enjoyable to be with them.
Yeah.
But
making the time to do it.
Making the time, especially with just the internet, making it so easy to see people. It's really funny. To me, it almost feels like the friendships that I do invest in, like how important are those where you really do have the option to you don't have to put anything into anybody anymore, and you could probably feel not super lonely.
Well, that's the crazy thing, and I think it'll be interesting to watch this younger generation because of that, because the internet, because you can feel not alone, but kind of really be alone.
Oh yeah.
Which there's a lot of great tools about that. Like I'd say, I mean, some of my closest friends don't live in the state. I mean, they've either moved away or I've met them someplace else and then we've connected. But then because of, Zoom or Instagram and text message and phone calls, now I consider them some of my closest friends, but it's not like we're going to lunch very often or actually having a lot of face to face.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that technology's really changed that.
Yeah.
But you have to be so much more intentional to actually connect. Like I said, we send each other memes and all that kind of funny stuff, but then to actually really check in, how are you doing? How can I be praying for you? What, you have to be so intentional. And I think that really helps me define who like my circle is. Like, how are we really checking in? Do I really know what's going on in their life? Am I checking?
Yeah.
And so, and because that takes so much work when we don't all live close, then, that takes time. And I feel like it maybe makes the circle smaller even.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I don't like love my friends who I don't always check in like that or don't check in with me like that. Then once we reconnect, it's great.
Sure.
But you have to really think about that, because it's so easy to feel connected to someone because I saw a picture of their family, or look at them on vacation and we're sending memes back and forth. But yeah, do I really know what's going on?
I was telling Ashley, I was in the car listening to Joe Rogan and Dr. Phil were talking yesterday. And Dr. Phil was saying that, and this is a little off topic, but he was saying in that same regard that driver's license is like 16, who like people aren't even thinking of getting their license.
Yeah.
Like marriages are down. I mean, I know there's countries that are literally like on the brink of destruction because there's no babies being born.
Really?
And this is all, this is a play out of friendships not truly cultivating, because why do you need to you're living life through other people's lives. These kids are living life through other people's lives.
Right.
And it's putting them, he said, 5 to 10 years back, because they don't need any to live, they're not living day to day, going out, meeting friends and
in relationship like
oh my
development.
gosh. Yeah. And like, think of the things that we did, like, come on, like as soon as you were 18, like we knew Friday night, we're going to Upfront, we're doing whatever, even at like 16,
shopping
like
at the bit for
we're trying to get out and go.
And jobs. Like, we want to work, we want to make money, we want to have some independence, we want to.
And that just doesn't, it doesn't have to exist. You can go on
and
TikTok
play
and make
Call
a
of
job
Duty all night and think you're talking to people. But like when we were younger, my generation, it would be like the guys would do Halo nights. So it was like there was no online gaming. It was
you had to
10
like
guys staying up all night playing video games, which is, that was, but they were still social,
together. Yeah, but they're still together. Yeah, so it is definitely. It's just a funny thing.
I wonder how that, what dating would be like for these people when they can see millions of options, and I can really see it kind of becoming where it's like, you're okay, but why would I take the time to invest in you when I can see 105 minutes of other options. Sure. Like, what would that make you feel about yourself? And if you're constantly comparing everybody else's highlight reels, like, why would you be investing in relationships and friendships?
Yeah. It's really hard. I don't think the internet's all bad. I mean, have you made a friend just solely from online, Jolie?
Not exactly, but I'd say our connection points. So I feel like I have 2 good friends now that I met. Got connected through like my lifelong friend, my friend that I've been friends with probably for the longest since I was like 5 years old or something. I think we met in kindergarten, and now she lives here. And but she connected me to somebody that was her friend that they met online. They met through blogging.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started going to workshops, and then we just started connecting. And then I went on the other retreat in Italy where I met another friend. And then, you know, the, what, 5 of us then got together and did a book study. And like, then really connected. And I would say I count those women as,
Yeah.
you know, close friends. One of them I've never even met in person. We've only met over Zoom.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that's, I mean, it's a weird, you know, friend of a friend, then we connect. And so technology definitely
Yeah.
helps that. But I never did the mommy blog, or like, I've never been huge with social media. So, but I do have a lot of friends who met people through that, like, that kind of original sweep of mommy blogging,
Yeah. Did you
where
ever
they
meet
really
up?
connected, and then they started getting together. And like, um which I guess is, I don't know, that's really not a thing anymore, but when blogs and social media first started, I felt like a lot of mommy bloggers,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they started connecting, right? So and I think some of those people, like, I mean, my good friend who lives here now, I think she's still friends with a lot of those people that she originally connected with
Yeah. I would
online.
say there was an app called Meetup, and Christy that does my lashes is a mom that was in my Meetup group in Washington, and she still does my lashes here.
Yeah.
And it's been so crazy because our kids were like 3 or 4 when it started, and Brooklyn's now gone, and her oldest son is graduating this year. Like, it's so weird, but we've totally kept in touch. And then she's the only
Yeah.
one out of that group that I keep in touch with, but she's still friends, and we'll go back to Portland or Vancouver and hang out with those girls. And when we lived in Portland, I was really into Oregon football, and I had a lot of friends in sports talk radio.
Right.
And I met a girl. I wish I could remember exactly how. We'll have to have Rachel on it sometime. She was the only female to ever have her own Sirius radio sports talk show. She's just incredible.
Oh, wow.
And we both taught Zumba at the same time. And anyway, we just had all these things that lined up. We both love Jesus, and like just all these things lined up in sports, yada, yada. I think I ended up reaching out to her and just asked her a random question. And I've been to Florida for her wedding. She flew to Oregon.
awesome.
We went and did we went and I stayed with her and kind of assisted her when she was here, talking to the Ducks and the football team. It's just been so crazy. Like she's one of my super good friends, like one of my best friends. And we've seen each other in person 3 times, but I will call her instantly if I need prayer or if I see something going on with her. Like,
Yeah.
it's wild. And we have a very, very deep friendship, and that totally originated from Twitter. I think the leg up that we have on that maybe in our generation is that we learned to have friends when we didn't have the other influences.
Right.
So we could go up to kids. I think there's probably kindergartners that don't run up to a kid and be like, "Will you be my friend?" Like,
Right.
I don't think that exists like it used to. I mean, I think it does exist still at that very young age, but I just don't think it's prevalent like it was.
No, and I think you have to teach your kids that. Like, I think because we're so multi-generational just in our own house, like I have a millennial and then I have Gen Z. So, you know, I think the sisters have watched each other on making friends. I mean, my older girls, you know, bring girls home and then they become part of our family. So this is how they make friends. Is then they just start including them, and they've watched that. The younger ones have watched that, and it's kind of trickled down. So that is how they make friends. But you know, if you didn't have any influence like that,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see just how the different generations have made friends.
What did friendships look like in your house growing up? Like we had, I know, like I grew up in church, you grew up in, and we all grew up in church, but our door was never locked. There would be people in our pool when we got home.
That's funny.
My parents
That's
were in
awesome.
something called a growth group, which is like a small group or a small Bible study. And those couples are still my parents' friends, and their kids are still I have a friend here in Arizona. Everybody ends up moving to Arizona, I guess, but I have a friend that lives here. Her parents were in my parents' wedding. We ended up going to the same church, growing up together in the same like church community, friend community. I was in the hospital the day she was born, Shannon, and we're still friends to this day, and we live right by each other. And that was just how we were raised. Like we had an open door policy, and my parents had a lot of friends. I mean, there were 500 people at my wedding, and I think it was all about my dad and my mom, not about me, because and not in a rude way.
No, they were happy for you.
But they paid
watched
for
you
the
grow
wedding,
up.
and all these people. Like there
It's a
was a
celebration.
giant village of people that helped raise me, because that's how it was. Like, did you have what was that? How was your household like as far as like?
Well, not going to really talk about how my house was growing up, but we, my dad had a lot of business people that would stay at our house, like clients and different people that he worked with stay at our house. But what I will say is he had one business partner that we were really close with. They were part of different groups. There was some weird stuff. I mean, they were into like the Wall and LifeSpring. So there are some weird kind of new agey things at some points in my parents' life. But what we did have is we were members of this ski lodge that was tons of other families. And we would go every weekend during the winter. It was like up on the mountain. And we would all stay in this lodge, like sleeping porch, eat meals together.
Fun.
As I'm describing it, it sounds kind of weird and culty.
No, it sounds awesome.
But very 70s and 80s to me.
Yeah,
That's
super
that was
70s and 80s. And
Mhm.
I was friends with all those kids. Like we stayed friends for a really long time. And then, life changed. I was one of the younger ones in the group. So a lot of those older ones were like my babysitters. And then I was just a friendly kid. So the babysitters would take me to their football games. And those are kind of our friends. And I'd say there is probably a couple that I'm still connected with, that we've stayed connected over the years and stayed friends. Even though we've moved different places, we occasionally check in on each other's lives. But I think for the most part, my house was pretty I'd say we had a lot of people over, but they weren't like friends at our house. Like holidays were just family and stuff like that. We traveled a lot with just us. But one thing my sister and I used to say is when we got older, we were going to definitely invite more people over. Like we wanted to have our houses be places where people would come and hang out and where, friends would be. So I felt like we were more intentional about it.
Yeah, I think that's something like if you don't have it, some people crave it and then you go create it. And that's exactly what you guys did.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening like a lot. Like I do feel like in like church culture that happens, but I feel like outside of that, I don't.
It's hard.
Like
we want it to, and people are.
So.
It's like people. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like my mom was on me. Like you need to make something in your kids' life that is like so consistent. I mean, obviously our life is consistent, but do like a rock in the schedule. We have church on Sundays and, sports kind of come in and out, but do something that they can always predict is like pizza night or game night or something. So we're the house, like we're the new kids in our neighborhood, and we're the house that's Tuesday night game night. Like,
oh, that's fun.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, right now, because it gets dark so early, it's kind of slowed down. But the minute it gets lighter, they take their little like Barbie tanks, like electric tanks or whatever. And I have little Gab watches on them so I can watch them. It's kind of like, I want them to have that independence. I'm like, go collect the neighborhood, knock on doors, get as many kids as you can, bring them back. I'm making pizza or taco night or whatever. And we're going to do games or whatever it is. And like, I have their parents texting me, this is awesome. Do you know your kids are at my door? Like, are you okay with this? I'm like, yes, Tuesday night. Make it a thing in your schedule. Always Tuesday night. Bring them. And they're like, we've lived here for X amount of years. And like, we've never done this.
Yeah.
And I think people just, they get so into like their schedule and their routine. And then I think they want to pull back and think about it, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
People are so booked and exhausted.
Yeah. And we were like that. I would say, because I have so many kids, we were like that. Like they, the older four all played Premier League soccer with different clubs. And so we were super busy every night of the week. And so if it wasn't soccer friends or school friends, then it was hard. It was hard. Or if, as they got older, then they started bringing kids home, and Young Life was really a huge part of that for them. That was their consistent thing. It wasn't at our home, but they got consistent with Young Life to make friends, which carried through most of the girls. Because you have to be. I think they started figuring that out. They had to figure out, okay, what's the consistent thing going to be? And because soccer friends change teams, change clubs, whatever that is, each year. But they found that Young Life was where they could have that consistency and have good connection, and that they've stayed friends with some of those kids. Yeah.
It's different living in a bigger town too. Like there were no other schools where I grew up. It was just one school, one town, one sports team, one everything. Yeah. And in our neighborhood, I don't think any family goes to the same school.
Oh yeah.
Like you either go to specific immersion programs at other schools that aren't even, like you have to get boundary exceptions, or they're all in different private schools. So even when they come home, it's not the same as like we rode the bus home, or we don't. And I'm in the suburbs,
right.
And it's not like growing up in a small town at all. Right. And even sports are weird. I'm like, it's such a learning curve. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people grew up in it and it'd be totally normal to them. They'd be like, what's the big deal? But that's not how I grew up. So trying to navigate that has been interesting. But yeah, it's fun having the boys get older though.
Yeah.
It's way more fun having a bunch of.
Well, and that's what I think. That's what I learned moving here. Like we lived, in a relatively small town before we moved here, where there was the public high school and then there was the private Christian school. And Young Life kind of did both schools, but it felt like a small town. And so you did make friends with the moms that were on the same soccer team, or the, moms from Young Life with, because it just feels bigger here. There's so many high schools. There's so much going on. Now there are different campuses for school, the, elementary, junior high, high school. And I didn't. I'm like, that's cool. I'm not going to make friends. That works.
London has a girlfriend that lives literally in our neighborhood, 2 blocks down. And every time I see this girl's mom, we're like, we're going to walk. We're going to do this. We're going to 3 or 4 years we've been here. I've never walked with her one time. I don't know I don't know what's changed. And I don't know if that just goes back to like being busy, or if it's just probably prioritizing or what the deal is, or figuring out who really are your people when you get not probably so much for you, because you kind of have you still in that stage where you're going to have to make friends with sports moms and stuff like that. But now
just getting into like barely dipping our toes even in that world.
And so it's like coming out of that, you really don't have to be friends with anybody anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's a choice. And I do think that there was a much greater need for that before social media. I feel like that was like a longing that it couldn't have been filled unless you went out and had friends. But I think that female friendships are really a difficult thing. And I think that starts when we're kids, whether we are social or not. They're super hard. I just think it's.
And also, do you think, like, as I'm thinking about it, do you think like there's also just that society in general says they're difficult? I mean, I work in women's ministry.
No, I think women are difficult.
But sometimes I feel like we hear that so often, and maybe we are, but we also hear it really often. Like, women's ministry is so difficult, or women are so difficult. Like, it's hard to be friends. But like, to some extent, like, that's just like a tape that plays in your head and you go, wait, do we have to be? Because maybe if instead what we were saying to each other is we want to cheer each other on.
Yes.
Let's I think society builds in this like competition and all these things. And obviously social media doesn't help that. But if we flip that to say, hey, I'm here to support you. I'm here to cheer you on. This isn't a competition. This is like, we're meeting each other where we're at. Like, if that was the message we heard more often, would we be so difficult? I don't know.
I don't know. And I just think, and I don't mean, okay, women are, I think, yes, in some senses, I think we're more high maintenance, we're whatever, maybe more emotional, and that's fine. But I think that if you, I'm trying to use an example where I don't hurt feelings, but no stories where anybody can tell anything. But you know what I mean? But like, I'll go to a golf thing, and I know there's probably girls. I know there's girls listening that I golf with, and that's fine.
Well, they probably have had similar experiences.
And I know they've had similar. I'm sure it is. So we'll go to a thing, and you want to know who you're being paired with. Okay. You might not want to be paired with somebody, but I do think that even in that instance, like, we are trying to be uplifting. We are, you know what I mean? It's such an encouraging environment. But, and maybe guys are like this too, but listen, maybe I'm the difficult one, because if I don't really like your personality, or I think that you talk too much or whatever, I don't really want to sit in a golf cart with you for 4 hours. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get that, but
it's normal.
That's normal. But
no, that you don't want to do that, I think, is actually the healthy thing. That's my opinion.
But it's, I know, but it's like,
filter them out. Like, if they can't be cool and like chill and easy, like, you don't have time for that.
No, well, I have three friends. In reality,
they're good friends.
I know, and I have way more than 3. Please don't get mad, because I'm sitting with 2 people and listen to this. I have more than 3 friends, but I just say that because it's an easy number. But I don't have a lot of super great, like really, really deep friendships. I keep that circle very, very small.
You have old is not the right word. Long-term deep friendships, though, like OG friendships. And that, do you think the older you get, the more you realize, like, dude, that's what I need anyways?
Yeah. And you want to know something so funny? I have a friend in Vancouver, and Ben stays with her and her husband like every time they go there. And I just adore her. And one of the first things she told me when we were kind of becoming really close she's like, I am a little nervous about becoming friends with you because this person at your country club told me that you recycle through friends and that you're kind of a like flavor of the week. Like this will be like really hot and heavy and then you'll move on.
What an interesting thing.
And I
What a rude
took
thing to
offense to
say.
that, but I think that she thought that because I will try you on. And if you don't fit, it's just a swipe left or right.
Isn't that just how friends? I think that's a normal process of relationships, though.
Yeah, but
Like-
maybe I will. Maybe I'm like a stage 5 clinger if I really, really like you, and that's why it's long.
Which part was she nervous about? That you were gonna like
I don't
her
know.
or not
I don't
like
know.
her?
or you're just gone. I don't think I'm easy to be friends with either, though. I'm not
I think
saying
you're
that.
easy to be friends with. We've been friends for a long time.
Yes, I think that if it's a fit, it's a fit, and if not, I think that people could probably think I'm a lot.
I don't know because I don't know what other people would think. But I mean, I know you're an easy friend to be
Nobody
friends with.
ever talked crap about. Well,
We're not.
we're not going
We're
there.
not the ones we would give to
No.
send craps about what
No.
they think. Anyways, but no.
I don't know.
I don't know. My friends, though, the through line is always low maintenance. I don't do high maintenance friendships. I won't give it the time of day. So they're
Okay, give me an example of what high maintenance friendship is. Like
high maintenance friendship would be like I'm not going to be there for somebody who needs me to be there. Like, I'm not your boyfriend. Like, I'm not your husband. Like, I'm not gonna be the one that fills that part of the void. And women, I have seen women that it's too much. It's like I just don't have the bandwidth. And you'll naturally filter on to the next person who can give you that, but it's just not gonna be me. So the friends, like I can go 6 months and I don't like that. I feel like I'm gotten better as my kids are getting older and I'm not as much in newborn stage, but easily can go 6 months not talking to what I would consider a best friend, like ride or die. And it does not faze us. No one's counting the time in between the text. Nobody's like, well, I reached out to you last, so it's your turn, or you never initiated anything or not. I don't have friends like that. I don't keep them around.
I have an explanation for this too.
What is this?
Somebody, I just thought about this, and hopefully this story might resonate with somebody, but here, this is high maintenance. I want to hang out with you, but I'm not going to make plans with you. It's just going to be last minute. Like somebody that won't ever bend to your needs. Like Alex, I'm going to talk about you and whatever. I love you, but we're going to talk about New Year's Eve. This really bothered me. Like and this is not an everyday thing, but if it was, I couldn't be friends with Alex. So we were trying to make New Year's plans and it just got really busy and we just couldn't make things. We couldn't line it up. And then it was like, oh, I don't know if this is going to happen. And then I don't know if we can get a table, and we can get a table, but I don't know how many people can come. And it was just like, wow, it felt really hard. Like it just felt like it was too much work. And I think I didn't care. They ended up going out. It kind of bugged me, but I know Alex's heart, and it was no big deal. They ended up going somewhere with like bottle service and boobies anyways. So it was, Ben would have walked out. It looked like a ton of fun.
You wouldn't have even walked in.
No, it probably actually, yes, that's true. If there's champagne, I'm walking in. Get in my van. I have champagne. I don't have one of those things anymore, but I still have champaign. And, but if that's how it was with her all the time, Alex is one of my best friends, but if that's how it was all the time, I would be like, I'm not doing this. No, I have no interest.
It just wouldn't continue. It just naturally fizzles out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's maybe it naturally fizzles out, I guess. Yeah, it's funny because I kind of feel like sometimes that's who I am. You know, I think we talked about this before, like the difference between FOMO and then what did I call it?
JoMo.
Joy of missing out.
Joy of missing out.
Love that.
And that's me. Like, I want you to invite me, but I'll probably not show up.
Yeah.
And it's not because I don't want to be friends. It's just because I'm tired and I want to go to bed at 8:00. But
I don't think that's abnormal.
Yeah. I think it's really normal.
Yeah,
I do think it's really normal. And
I think I choose
who
friends.
are just chill and easy and get it, and we all like, dude, nobody cares. Like, it's gotta be that level of chill, or else this is just not happening. Like,
I think I've almost bought that shirt like 7 times. It says, "Sorry, I'm late. I didn't want to come."
Yeah,
like I will. And I know you do this too, Jolie. I will pay for something. I will sign up for something, and I'll be like, "You can keep my $60. I'm not coming," or "I don't want to go," or "I don't like what I look like," or "I have nothing to wear," and I will use my excuses to get out of it because sometimes, like Doc Martin on Acorn TV sounds better. Like I just and I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that's just really normal. And I feel like another thing we carry as women in our friendships is guilt, I think.
Way too much. I think people do that way too much.
Yeah.
It's like not necessary.
Yeah. And I think when you do find that small core group, I don't think I've ever have I ever made you feel bad or cared that we weren't doing something?
No.
I actually think I try and text and give everybody an out if they don't want to do something, because that's my heart is if I don't want to do something, I'm going to go because I feel bad. But then I'm mopey or I'm a little Eeyore when I'm there because I don't want to be there sometimes when I really show up and don't want to go because nobody gave me an out and I really feel pressured to go.
Mm.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like maybe I don't notice because I'm like, I have so many kids and or whatever that I just like, I don't feel guilty because I don't notice that I should. But yeah, you know what I've noticed this past year, because, you know, I've done all these like art retreats, and then I did the retreat in Italy, and I went by myself on a few of them, and I went to Italy by myself. And like that initial anxiety of it's going to be a group of women and I'm going to, you know, have to find a friend and who am I going to eat with and that kind of thing. And then I have found that it's so great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I've met some really great people. I've met a couple great friends that I stay in contact with. And when I come into town, we get together. We're planning other trips together. And so I think sometimes as women, we have a hard time getting out of our box because of what we hear. Like, oh, women, ugh, group of women, yikes.
Or, I mean,
but when you get in like-minded space, yeah. But when you kind of get out by yourself and you get in this like-minded space, and for me, I mean, obviously, my faith in loving Jesus is the foundational like-mindedness, and those are who my like closest friends are, and my like my tightest circle. But when I've been on some of the art retreats, I've met just like the most delightful people that we can find common ground in other places. And then like I would say even like a good example of that is my product developer that when I was doing the clothing line years ago.
Yeah.
And now I feel like even though we don't share the foundational, like we're not from the same faith, we share a commonness in how we want to treat people and how we want to love our neighbor. And so that's given us a friendship that I feel like is pretty solid because we've found this like-mindedness there.
Yep.
And so, like, I feel like sometimes we just have to get out of our like comfort zone a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna you know, maybe you're not gonna meet your next bestie, but like you're really gonna discover that, okay, being in a group of women isn't all that bad.
Mm-hmm.
We can actually get along and have common interests and not be rude and comparison and not get offended. And
Yes.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the crux of it is, and I love being a cheerleader. And that's actually something that I've really taken on since friendships do exist so heavy in the online space.
Mm-hmm.
Is just literally, I don't have anything to gain from it. I just love rooting for people and seeing them do amazing at whatever they're doing. I think it's so much fun. Like, why not just, I can send them a message. I can text them. I can put
Buy
it right
their
there on
thing.
their, buy whatever they're doing, whatever. There's so many ways to be encouraging. It's really not hard, and it doesn't take much time.
No.
And most of the time it's free.
And the reward the payoff on their end is massive.
Sure.
It's such a low, it takes such a little amount of effort for such a huge reward on the other end. For
it costs $0 to be a nice person.
And it takes like
that is true. I have that sweatshirt.
Yeah. It's true.
It costs a lot of dollars to be Jolie's friend, though, because she will show you said sweatshirt.
Amazing sweatshirt.
The sweatshirt that tells you that it costs $0 to be nice costs $138 or something.
Yeah, but it's the best.
But we have a good message to tell.
Yes, it is a good message.
No, and I think it's women friendships are hard, but they're so important. And I just think that it's really, unfortunately, they're hard to maintain nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
They're not, I don't know. We just don't live on the same street in the 50s, and we're not home all day baking bread and raising our kids like in the olden days. And so
what would you guys say for the people listening who are like, this is great, but I'm on the end of like, I am lonely, like, and I don't even know where to make a friend or how to make a friend, or like, I'll just say this. I've seen so many people that are waiting for somebody to do it for them. But our friendship, we met in an elevator, Jolie. Like,
oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah. So,
I mean, we were in the same line of business, like we were at an event, but we still had to. We still had to talk.
Yeah, and it was mutual. But how many times are you typically the one who spearheads the initial conversation of a friendship?
Me? Yeah. A lot.
Me too. Like, I'm not waiting for someone else.
I'm still the kid in kindergarten. If I feel like there's going to be something, or if I'll actually probably watch somebody or know somebody for a while and just kind of observe.
Be like, they're cool.
And then I'll be like, they could be my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew Julie and I met through a mutual friend. We went and had lunch at Flower Child.
Mm-hmm.
And
ooh, can I just point out a marker? That alone, just what you just said, how many people are so prone to saying no to invitations?
Oh, yeah.
The fact that you said yes led you to meet, like, I would say start saying yes more to invitations.
Yeah, because we do get stuck in our box, and it is so easy to stay home. Like, I know that I've hit on that a lot, and that's a hard part of society, but we do have to go back to being the kindergarten kid that says, will you be my friend? Or yes,
I will come play with you.
And Catherine was a love bug to introduce us, but I adore her, but her life has moved on. She has a lot of small children. Mm-hmm. She's engaged now. She got out of a bad relationship, and she's made a great life. But she introduced us, and Jolie and I are in communication every day. Yeah. Sometimes that's how things are going to happen. They're going to need to take their course to find those friends. But a friend isn't coming to knock on anybody's door. unless you are talking to the Amazon people, and then maybe whatever. But that would be the only way. It's not happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last week I would say, I knew my middle son's best friend in school. The mom and I had run into each other, just through here and there, maybe pickups or whatever, same time. And we ran into each other at the gym. Didn't know we both went to the same gym. Hey, how's it going? Whatever. Realized we had each other's number. She actually hit me up and was like, hey, I'd love to set up a play date, but I actually I'd love to get out of the house and just have coffee with somebody to talk to. Is that something you'd be interested in? I'm like, yes. I'm the one that's always doing that. To have somebody else do that, I was like, but immediately, yes, because I know what that takes to put yourself out there. Yeah. And I genuinely do like her. I didn't say yes to somebody that I wouldn't want to spend time with, but I was like, yeah. So, and then that's just carried on in just like I said, within the last couple of weeks. Hey, we're going to family swim night on Friday. If you're going to be there, great. Hey, I'm going to be at the gym on Saturday. Oh, sorry, we're at basketball. But that's how it's done. Yeah. So if people are like, I just don't get it, I'm stuck, I don't know how to make a friend, it's that simple.
Yeah.
I think for some people though, if you're really introverted and you like to be at home, and it can be hard, or whatever, or who knows, past hurts or whatever there is,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously women get a bad rap because there's some truth to it. And so I think it can be, but what I would say is just get out and try again.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't have good friends when we were in Seattle. I did, but I haven't stayed in contact with a lot of those people. We moved on. And if I would have, and I was a little bit that way when I first moved here. I'm like, I'm good. I've got 6 girls that are reaching that age where now those are my friends. Yeah. I don't need to make new friends, but I did just start saying yes to things.
Yeah.
Okay. Or I think one of my closest and dearest friends now, my daughter got invited to a sleepover birthday party, and I made Christian take her and do the whole parent meet and all of that. And I'm like, whatever, I don't need any more friends. But then Christian had to go out of town, so I had to pick her up. And so then I went and I met this woman, and I'm like, oh, actually, you know what? I do kind of like her. And then she leads a Bible study, and then I joined. It's just okay, just that little step. Okay, I'll come to Bible study, or okay, I'll do an art thing, or my mother-in-law used to always want me to join a golf group, which is not really my thing, but find what your thing is and just step out of the box and join that group, whatever it is. Yep. Pickleball, golf, art, a Bible study, a mom's group. Yeah, anything. Whatever. And because honestly, like I said, it is a small circle. I feel like I have a relatively small circle of my closest friends, and it's because I said yes to lunch, to Bible study, to an art class, and then I have my lifelong friends, and then I have my college friends that I still stay in contact with. But yeah, it's just if you are feeling kind of lonely, say yes to one thing that's offline, that's out there.
Yeah.
The communities always have something. One of my friends does these the coolest thing. She does long table dinners. And she'll do awesome. Them. It's so cool. And she does them in her community. I think she started by putting a flyer up in the community center. Yeah. And you committed to 6 weeks of coming to dinner at her home with strangers. Wow. But you got dinner, and the whole idea was to gather and have conversation, kind of old school, you said,
Dinner parties.
Just
Toes under the
dinner
table,
parties.
my friend Jen
Yeah.
says. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
important.
committing to 6 weeks of it, and it's such a huge hit that now she does it like she does 2 different sessions. So it's like now it's every other week, 2 different groups. And it's I mean, the connections that they've made and the friends that have been made out of that, because someone originally took a tab off a flyer in a community center.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's that kind of stuff that just like, okay, say yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's drag your husband to it, or drag, if you have one other friend, drag another friend.
Yeah.
You know,
I think when you were talking about the introvert that's at home, to me, that's the perfect person that if you're not the kind of person that you want to leave, but you love to be at home, invite someone over.
Yeah.
Hospitality.
That's true.
Like, read a book about hospitality. If you're not familiar with it, or if you didn't grow up with it, and you'll see it's so simple, and it's not about your house is fancy and you have glamorous china. It's actually just how you make people feel.
I think somebody would love to be invited
Over to their house,
into a home. It's such a lost art. And I kind of laugh because I tell people, like, if you've been in my house, you know, like, that I trust you and I love you. But that's really that's a thing maybe in the last 5 to 10 years for me, because at the beginning it was kind of like how my parents were, where it was just, we're having everybody over.
That we were
we're
always
super
over.
social.
And I just told Ben, like 2 days ago, I was like, if Tiff and Ben lived here, you'd have like it'd be like sister wives.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't know whose house is whose.
It is
like,
100%.
That's how it is.
It is 100% different here.
Yeah.
100%. This is not, I don't live my friendships out nearly like I did in Washington. Now, I think that
but look, it's different. I fly in, you fly to me.
Sure. And it's
you drive to go see Jolie. It's just different.
It's our age. I
but
drag
we make
Ashley
effort.
to make cookies at your house. See?
Drug me.
Come to
I
the
said
cookie
yes.
place and you can make more.
That's right.
Well, and I think that's the other thing. If you're a person that is that outgoing, that is that social, invite people with you. That's another what one of my friends used to do, is just like, hey, I'm going to go serve here. You want to come?
Right.
And I would just go. I'm not an initiator necessarily on stuff like that always, because I am content to stay home a lot. And so, but she would say, like, we're going to do this. Come along. Mm-hmm. We're going to go do that. And I would just say, okay, I'll come along. So if you're that initiator, invite people to come with, because, you know, someone might just be waiting to be like, oh, I want to be included. And I think, like, I mean, Tiff, you had me look up scripture, and I think, you know, I could spend hours and hours talking about all the scripture that talks about friendship. But honestly, I think the most important one is loving your neighbor as yourself. Like what Christ called us to do. Love your neighbor as yourself. So which means get outside of your box and love the people around you and include the people around you. Yeah. Even the people who aren't necessarily foundationally like-minded. Like, if I'm going to go do some kind of outreach thing, hey, invite the neighbor that maybe we don't have that much in common to come with, because they might want to do outreach, or they might want to do an art thing, or they might it's just like getting outside. And for both, say yes if you're the person who normally likes to stay at home, and invite someone along if you're the initiator.
Yep.
And that's how we learn how to love our neighbor like Jesus did.
And I think that too, people are like, I don't have extra time or bandwidth. It's like, okay, but you did eat dinner tonight, and you are going to drink coffee in the morning.
And you probably are going to watch an hour or two of Netflix. Yeah. So exchange something.
So just keep doing what you do and invite somebody into it. Yeah. You're going to make dinner tomorrow? Text the neighbor. Call the neighbor. Drop by. I love baking bread. There's nothing I one time baked a loaf of bread, which takes no effort. And I brought it to my son's teacher, and she started crying She's like, I haven't had a loaf of bread like this since my mom was alive.
Wow.
I mean, I was gonna bake it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, what's 2 loaves if I'm already making 1?
Yeah.
Or, we're already sitting at home having dinner. It's not gonna hurt us to invite the neighbors. It's gonna throw an extra thing on. Like, it can be very low effort with extremely high payoff.
And I think I wish I don't have the book sitting here with me, but I'll post it on our story. But there's a book about like, I think they were both college professors, and one of them just started inviting the other one over, and she kept saying no, no, no. And then finally, I don't know, he wore her down. And so came over for dinner. They became, great friends. And then that trickled out to her, like, taking walks with her neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you're out in your neighborhood and you're walking and a neighbor's walking, like, join someone, make a friend. And how we impact people like that, it's like the most beautiful, like you were saying, read a book about hospitality. I think there are so many beautiful books like that about how we can invite people in the simplest ways, by walking our dogs together or inviting them over for dinner, because we're already doing those things anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that our kids are watching that, and it's important for our kids to see, oh, I can get offline and I can engage, like, face to face.
Yeah.
In different ways that we're losing the art of.
They don't need us to keep saying, get off the phone, get off the phone, get off the phone.
Yeah.
I think the most influential thing you can do for your kids is, you're just having so much fun. They're like, what are they doing over there?
Yeah.
Why is mom laughing with her friend? Or what is, whatever.
Be the example.
Yeah. Or you have game night with your friends. And then all of a sudden your kids are like, all right, that looks kind of fun, or whatever it is, But if we just keep telling them what to do, but we don't do it.
I was at a friend's house the other night. I got snowed in at a friend's house. So 2 of us got snowed in at our house, and we were up until like 1 a.m, laughing and crying and sharing. And what was interesting is 2 of her kids were home, and they were up also. Like, I honestly don't know what they were doing, but I think it's good that they could see us just, like, sitting at the kitchen table, like, talking and laughing and, like, running through literally all the emotions till 1 a.m.
Yeah.
And it's good for our kids to see that.
Definitely.
Well, I think that Jesus definitely made us to be in community. He is the author and creator of friendships, and friendships are what are gonna, when everything else goes to hell in a handbasket, we still have our friendships. We have our community.
Yep.
The anything can happen.
You learn
and
real
you still have
quick.
and you still have your close friendships. So teaching them to figure out who their people are genuinely, not just because they can shop at the same stores or drive the same cool cars or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, it's hard to teach them those things, but when we are showing examples of genuine friendships, I think that's a really good start for the next generation. It's a good reminder, even giving other people examples of what we can do and continue to do, because I think going into the future, will be in need of each other even more than before. So
for sure. For sure.
It's good.
It's very good.
It's very good.
I think that I just hope whoever's listening, like, is encouraged, like, wherever you're at, if you feel overwhelmed, like, I have so many friendships and I'm not giving them what they need. Maybe this was just that little reminder of, like, send them a text or whatever. Maybe send them a card. Oh my gosh. When's the last time you got a card?
Yeah.
Or whatever, just something. And then the people who are feeling really, really lonely, I hope that they heard, like, so many different options of how to incorporate, making friends. And also, no guilt if you are just maxed and you're not in a place in your life right now where this even, like, you're like, I have a baby on my boob 24/7 right now. And this is just not the time. That's not your time that you need to be the one that's out there making friends. That's if you have a friend that's in that spot where they have a newborn or something, that's your sign to go be there for that friend. Don't just show up, but like go do their laundry or their dishes and like let them take a nap or something. That's the stuff that you can do to help people in different stages of life.
Want a friend? Be a friend.
Yeah, be a friend. Okay, that's such a thing from our generation. I think all our moms said, you want to have good friends, be a good friend. But I do, there is truth to it. And I do think we have to, as women, celebrate each other more. We don't celebrate each other enough. We don't lift each other up enough and be so excited when great things happen to other people. We should be more encouraging and more uplifting and celebrate all those little things.
I love it.
Agreed. Okay.
Yep.
Well, awesome, you guys.
It is 11:40. I think
we did it. We did it. I know ladies, we get to turn around and get going early in the morning.
We do. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave Arizona, and you two can stay here.
Oh, great! Enjoy
the weather.
Oh, it's gonna be so
you're
nice.
Gonna go have fun.
In Disney World. Do you like my Disney nails?
Amazing.
I do like your Disney nails. It's very fun.
I know.
Wish I was going.
I know. We need to go. Okay.
I really do.
Well, you guys have a good night, and thank you for listening again this week.
We'll be back.
We'll be back next
week.
We won't take a break again. So
should be all good.
Okay.
Right.
Good
Bye,
night.
everyone.
See ya.